AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Our host brings you the leading minds in AI, sharing their story, their success, and their advice. Focusing on fast-tracking you to the top, AI in Action cuts through the hype to help you kickstart your data science career. To listen to the latest AI in Action podcast, head over to www.alldus.com/podcast or subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Podcasts.
You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is Jair Vercosa. Jair is the co-founder and CTO at Flieber. Jair, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me here. I'm really excited to talk to you.
Of course, it's our pleasure. So, Jair, let's start with yourself. Can you give a brief overview of your background from where you got started in technology and a bit of a highlight overview of some of the roles you've held along the way, taking us up to just before you co-founded Flieber?
I have actually to take you a little bit back in my history. Like when I was 18, I just built my first business. That was like building websites for gospel singers back in 2005, right? Like, so since then I've been an entrepreneur and then like building different kind of companies, mostly like ERP softwares, like doing customizations for logistics systems as well. So I've learned a lot about supply chain and the differences that operations have in each one of those companies for like at least 10 years. And in 2015, I got called by Henry to actually build the first company the first office for Carta outside of US. We grew the office from 0 to 52 employees across the company. Across different functions like engineering and product and etc. And because of that, I came to US, and that was how I met Fabrizio. And we, immediately we got along well, really soon. And both share this passion about the challenge that logistics and supply chain has. On Fabrizio's side, he was super excited because he was a retailer, an online retailer himself for several years. On my side, my father has been a logistics manager for a long time. So I've experienced the challenge of supply chain for a long time in my life. So when we started to discuss that, we just immediately saw that there's an opportunity in the market, and we decided to co-found Flieber, and it has been an incredible journey so far.
Excellent. And Fabrizio is the CEO and co-founder. So that leads us up to the launch of Flieber. So for anyone listening not familiar with the business, can you explain what you're doing at Flieber, the industry and the technology behind it?
Flieber is in the business of solving one of the most significant issues for online retailers, the stock out and overstock problem. So I don't know if you know, but like in 2020 alone, online retailers lost more than $300 billion due to stockouts and overstocks worldwide. If you consider the entire retailing industry globally, that number can grow almost to $2 trillion. So it's a lot of money. In online retailing, everything is digital, right? Like the sales are digital, the advertising is digital, the purchase is digital, the client's relationship is also digital. The only thing physical is inventory. So it's only natural that inventory will be at the center of the complexity of online retail operations moving forward. And it's exactly this complexity that we are solving. So we solve this problem by synchronizing sales and inventory to ensure sellers always have in stock what they sell and sell exactly what they have in stock. So we do that by combining intelligence for better decision-making and automation for better operation efficiency. Our ultimate goal is to have the supply chain simplified in such a way that for sellers, they can just focus on their primary activities, which is like their customers' relationship and their products.
Thank you for the overview. It's quite an interesting space given how much money is at play here. And if you look at the impact of COVID in 2020, the volume of revenue lost. And as retail shifts increasingly towards a fully online platform, organizations are now having to invest heavily in technology like this in order to improve efficiency, reduce loss, and overall improve on customer experience. So You guys have already had incredible success, even though it's a small startup. Can you speak to some of the recent wins and recognition that you've had as a business? Because I think it highlights just how impactful you guys have been in this industry already.
Yeah, absolutely. Early 2020, we launched a new version of our system that was like SaaS only. We started doing a hybrid mode of service and SaaS. But as we migrate to SaaS, we started to have a lot of new customers with huge complexities in their operations. And because of that, we started to have recognition for by the San Francisco startups as one of the top 50 startups to watch in 2020. And that was like an incredible thing for us because we were not expecting that, right? So we've put a lot of information out there to help sellers to navigate through this hard time. And as we do that, we also improve our platform, acquiring more data and building more integrations to serve them as best as possible.
Yeah, that's huge. And it's always nice to be recognized by people in your industry as being a leading product or service. Look, your background is from supply chain and logistics, as is Fabricio's, but I think it's important to speak to people who may not be as familiar with the industry as a whole, because it's incredibly exciting. And if you were speaking to people who, were curious or maybe first time hearing about it, can you give some insight into the types of technology problems that you're solving, some, examples of projects that you and your team are working on right now, just to really highlight how cool a place and how cool a role it could be?
Yeah, as you can imagine, we need lots of data to solve what we are solving. However, having a vast database doesn't mean much if you don't know what to do with it. So we use data science and AI algorithms to maximize our recommendations accuracy and optimize our customers' operations. We learn a lot about their sales, price variations, purchase orders, delays, and anticipations, and much more. And that actually helps us to apply several machine learning models to provide sales forecasting, inventory forecasting, scenario analysis, and customization impacts. So customer can play with the platform to see the effect that each of their decisions can have in their business. So, we use many different technologies in terms of like tooling, in terms of approach. Sometimes we can go like deep with science and just use purely methods that are well known by industry. Sometimes we actually have to reinvent ourselves and figure out different ways to solve the problems. But it's a very complex problem that I'm really excited about, and we are super passionate about this because not everybody can realize how challenging it is to run an online business.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at your customer base and the expansion that you're seeing, obviously 2020, a huge amount of disruption, but now that you guys have sort of built a foothold and you're continuing to expand both on the internal side with the headcount growth and externally with the big customers signing on, can you give us some insight into what 2021 looks like for you guys from a project pipeline, milestones, and overall continued growth?
Yeah, so one of the interesting things that is happening now in the industry is the fact that sellers, because of the restrictions created by Amazon is by far the most important player in market for sure. But because of the restrictions created due to COVID and some of other issues that FBA had, and for those who don't know, like FBA is fulfillment by Amazon. Because of that, sellers started to look elsewhere and then figured out other channels that they could start selling. And that adds a lot of complexity because now before you had only one fulfillment center serving one channel. Now you might have one fulfillment center serving like multiple sales channel, or you could have multiple fulfillment centers serving multiple sales channels, right? So the complexity just increases a lot. And that's exactly what we are tackling right now. We are building a new set of features that will help sellers to customize their operations and to make better decisions on what to purchase, to where to send those products, so they can always have like the right products at the right place, at the right price, and the right quantity, right? The four main R's for supply chain. So in terms of 2021, we've been focusing a lot on those kind of features. We are increasing our data team, hiring data leads, hiring data scientists, data engineers. We recently hired a data engineer in Portugal, and we are still with those some of those roles open. We are also increasing the engineering team, and we recently hired folks on the front end and back end as we increase our needs in terms of roadmap and etc. So 2021, I guess it's going to be a huge growth for us, not in terms of just in terms of the team, but also in terms of customer base. I guess the more we talk to customers about what we are building, more excited they get. We have a huge waiting list for a lot of those features that we are developing, and we are really excited about the results that are coming from this year.
Excellent. And then looking at the type of growth internally, what positions are you going to need to fill? How big is the team going to get? And, speaking to an audience of potential employees, what are you most excited about for people coming in?
Yeah, I mean, the data team is where we are concentrating our efforts right now. So we are hiring a data lead, we are hiring another data scientist, also another data engineering. We're probably going to hire a couple of data scientists, to be honest. And the team right now, we have about 4 people. We are growing that up to the end of the year, probably around 8 people as well. And we see 2021 as a huge investment on data, but 2022 as well, right? I think 2022 is going to bring us a huge investment on that area, not just on building whatever is in our roadmap, but also on researching different ways of serving and optimizing the inventory for our customer base.
So, Jair, final question from me. I want to get some insight into the team that you've built thus far and what's going to be important for you going forward, because there's obviously a huge demand for the types of people you're looking to hire. But every industry is looking for data scientists, data engineers. Startups in particular, it's such an important one because it's exciting, it's challenging, the culture is important. So can you give us some insight into, for the people you've hired, what stood out that made them a good fit? And when you're assessing future employees, what do you look for from a culture fit and background?
Yeah, I always like to define ourselves as a company of owners, right? So we really give a lot of autonomy and ownership to our employees. We empower them a lot to go and figure out solutions that will essentially make the life of our customers better. And the interesting thing about us regarding data specifically is that a lot of the opportunities you see out there, they are for internal needs, right? Like they are for data science or data analytics that will basically solve or help the company to answer questions for their executive team or for whatever product manager that is running the product. In our case, data means product, right? So actually everything that is produced by the data team is going to be used directly by our consumer base. So that is an exciting opportunity I see, because you get to see how whatever you're doing is applicable or is applied on their day-to-day lives. And then you see the results, like their business growing, and you see their feedback, and that's directly related to the work and research that you are doing. So I feel that this is an exciting moment to join Flieber, because you get the opportunity to have ownership and to go and figure it out by yourself, things that you are passionate about. But on the other hand, you also contribute a lot to real businesses that are in need, especially in this hard moment with COVID.
Jair, thank you so much for talking to us today. It's great to learn about Flieber. Very exciting what you guys have already accomplished with the recognition as being one of the top startups within tech and AI. Very exciting space, and I think we're going to see it continue to grow as more and more people move towards automation and improved management of inventory for online retail. You guys are obviously positioned perfectly to capitalize, and for anyone interested in a fast-growing startup, look no further than Flieber. They tick all the boxes. So thank you again, Jair.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Thanks for having me here.
AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Alldus offer an exec search program. Alldus can help you discover how data science and AI can transform your company. With our unrivaled network of C-suite executives and senior AI professionals, we offer retained search services across the US and Europe. Get the Alldus advantage. Become a member of the Alldus community and enjoy some of the following: AI meetups. Once a month, our community gathers to listen to some of the leading experts in the world of data science and AI. Our speakers come from all over the world, including Dublin, Boston, and Frankfurt. We also have our AI mentors. Our experts will provide mentoring to Alldus members. And don't forget our AI in Action podcast. Each week we have guests from all over the world talking us through their education, career, and more. Become an Alldus member and get the Alldus advantage. For more information and to sign up for our newsletter, log on to www.alldus.com. That's www.alldus.com. Alldus International, empowering through AI.